Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, it's called FinTech. You got to stay around for an explanation of what that means. It literally is going to affect all of us, and it's very important. But first, how about this? Nursing homes funding. Let's get a quick update on nursing homes. We're all going to need something to take care of us in our old age, and we'll do that in a moment.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, as many of our regular viewers know, we had Governor Wolf on a couple of weeks ago talking about his budget message. There's a myriad set of programs and recommendations to the state legislature. We had the Republican House Majority Leader on, following the governor to get, again, the reaction by the other side of the aisle. And we're going to talk about an important aspect of the governor's budget, and that is nursing homes, what happens with folks who go into nursing homes and the funding for them and how that's going to affect a lot of senior citizens. Joining me to talk about that is Zach Shamberg. He's the Director of Governmental Relations for the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, and the guy who's Chairman of the Board of the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, Sean Buckman. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
All right, well, I think we all know that there was various reactions to the governor's budget. Overall, the Republicans liked the fact that it didn't call for an income or a sales tax hike, and the governor had some other things in there they're not wowed about. But overall, the reaction was much more tepid than we usually get out of the opposite party, whether it's Democrat or Republican. And so I want to ask you, Sean, the governor's recommendation covering nursing homes was not as good as your organization would have liked it to have been. Is that correct?
Yes, Terry, that's correct, and thanks for having us on.
Oh, my pleasure.
This budget is a disaster for our facilities, and our facilities are homes to mothers and fathers and our neighbors. For the 5th consecutive year, we've been flat funded in Medicaid funding. And it just seems unfair that we're treated this way. A Medicaid resident is someone's mother or father that requires 24 hours, 7-day-a-week care,
right,
and has simply outlived the retirement savings.
And that's not uncommon.
It is not uncommon.
Yeah.
And people are living 20, 25 years into retirement,
right,
and savings, one bad medical event, and the savings are gone, and the safety net is Medicaid. And if they require 24/7 care, nursing care, and Medicaid,
yeah,
it needs to be there.
And let me get this straight. This is care that can't be, by and large, provided in the home, right?
Correct. These are medically complex and very difficult cases, and they require 24/7 care.
And Terry, when we visit nursing homes, and there are many days when I'll bring legislators into nursing homes, I always ask them before we take a tour of the building, I want you to look at each and every resident and tell me who shouldn't be here, who is well enough to be cared for at home. And you know what? In almost every case, there's not one resident in that nursing home who we can take home.
You know, you operate a nursing home, so you're on the ground. You're not. This isn't a theoretical discussion here, right?
Terry, so I own a building in northeastern Pennsylvania. It's a small building, but I love the building. And 3/4 of our residents are on Medicaid. And Medicaid funding really means when 3/4 of your revenue comes from Medicaid that I'm on a fixed income.
Right.
Our building is on a fixed income. And so 5 years of flat funding really is 5 years of cuts because my costs keep going up. They certainly don't come down.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Terry, if you take the average daily Medicaid rate that Sean is paid by state government, it averages out to about $199 per day or $8.35 per hour. I can get lunch at McDonald's for the same price that it would cost to care for a senior in a nursing home today.
And if you think about what happens in a nursing home, look around. I mean, there's everything from facilities maintenance to laundry to housekeeping, and then there's dietary. You know, people want to eat and they want to eat well, so there's meals and there's snacks. And then we get into the nursing therapy, the doctors, the dentist, occupational speech, physical therapy. There is a myriad of things going on in these buildings for $8.35 an hour.
Look, before we run to a break, here's the question. If they don't get this care, I mean, it's almost unimaginable. I mean, what happens to them?
If we keep going this way, we're going to find out.
Yeah, but I think we all get the point, correct? We
no,
all
we-
get the point
no,
if
we
they
don't.
well, I understand that.
No,
But,
we don't.
But rationally, we should get it, or am I wrong about that?
You know, it's our seniors that reside in these facilities, they can't come to Harrisburg and lobby and advocate. They rely on us to do that. And sometimes it's just, we need them to come down, I think.
All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come up, we're going to switch subjects and talk malpractice. What does all that mean? Hang in with us, and we'll explain it.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Well, welcome back to the program. Well, it goes by the term venue shopping, and it has to do with malpractice suits, and it's turning out to be a pretty big issue. And Zach Shamberg is going to explain this to us all, aren't you?
I'm going to try, Terry.
Well, you will do it. Take it.
So to really understand the issue now, you have to go back. You have to go back to the late 1990s and early 2000s when, in no uncertain terms, there was a healthcare crisis here in Pennsylvania. So you had doctors, specialists, nursing homes, hospitals, who were under attack from attorneys who were filing medical malpractice lawsuit after medical malpractice lawsuit. It got so bad that the legislature took notice. They acknowledged that there was a crisis, and they passed a series of reforms or protections that ultimately became known as the MCARE Act. Right. So the MCARE Act did many things, but one of the most important things that it did was provide a ban on venue shopping, or the ability to shop a lawsuit to a more favorable jurisdiction. And in almost every case, that favorable jurisdiction is the city of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So you've got nursing homes here in Dauphin County, in Cumberland County, in Lackawanna County, where Sean operates, who are being dragged into the city of Philadelphia to defend themselves when the incident in question may have occurred hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, we'll take it. What's the practical effect on somebody like you? I mean, you operate a nursing home.
So when a civil suit is brought on and they bring it, in a jurisdiction that is not home, so you won't, be tried in front of a jury of peers. You'll be tried by a jury, 200 miles away. You have to go through depositions. You have to go through discovery, and everything is in Philadelphia or Philadelphia area, and you're taking your staff away from your residents and the cost, and you're taking them to Philadelphia to be deposed, to be interviewed, and it's really trying on the staff. First of all, to be deposed, but second of all, to do it in Philadelphia, take them away from the residents, and it just adds more cost to the system.
So we just talked about the funding crisis here in Pennsylvania. This is, to Sean's point, another added cost on healthcare providers.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, let me ask you this question. Where is it now, and what's likely to happen?
Sure. So luckily, the state Supreme Court has delayed their decision. Right. So recently, the state Senate passed a resolution that directed the state's Legislative Budget and Finance Committee to actually study this issue. So that study is due January 1st, 2020. There's a delay, and we're thankful for that. Unfortunately, it's only a delay. Now, I will say that in the 2 months since this rule was proposed, there's been an open public comment period.
And what's happened? What have the comments been like?
So I could tell you that nursing home providers have sent in hundreds of comments. Physicians have sent in thousands of comments. Specialists, hospitals. We had everybody from CEOs to direct care workers telling this committee why this proposed rule change was wrong. And I think we owe a big part of this delay to the state Senate, but also the advocates.
Go ahead.
And as a business person, I have a hard time understanding how come this is just applied to the medical community. This should be applied to all businesses. Venue shopping is just something that's wrong, and it's wrong for business in Pennsylvania.
Go ahead.
Well, Sean's exactly right that there are many detractors who would point to healthcare providers and medical malpractice lawsuits and say that we're in a special class or a class of our own. And I agree. Venue shopping should, or a ban on venue shopping should apply to every single business in Pennsylvania.
Now, let's make sure so our viewers and I have a sense about what we're talking about here. Is this something that the legislature can deal with, pass a law, let the governor sign it? Or is this is this exclusively in the hands of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court?
So you said it. It's in the hands of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and more specifically, a obscure committee under the court that 2 months ago decided to propose this rule change. And their reasoning for this rule change was that the number of medical malpractice cases in Philadelphia has dropped so dramatically that we don't need the rule anymore. And Terry, I'm not a lawyer, I have no legal background, but I want to give you my interpretation of that. The rule has worked, so let's get rid of it. It's kind of like standing in a rainstorm with an umbrella over your head, and you're saying, I'm not getting wet, so I don't need that umbrella anymore.
All right, before I let you go, I have to, you run a nursing home.
Yes.
I mean, what are the important elements in that when you try to apply, when you got to do some planning here?
I can't imagine a more difficult business. If you think about what we do and the regulations that are involved and what we actually do, we care for frail, sick, elderly, and we do it with compassion. We have some of the greatest people in the world, and we've been doing it underfunded, which is,
Right.
So our caregivers are falling behind, and it's hard to attract caregivers.
Not to get personal, my mother, before she passed away, and spent some time in a nursing home in Lancaster County, and it was important because we could not have begun to take care of her in her home.
And it's a community, is it not?
Yeah, you're exactly right. All right, I think we're about out of time. We're going to talk about FinTech. It's something that I think involves so many people. It's very important, and we'll see you back in a moment.